Hello you beautiful people and welcome back to Joeboy Racing. In today's video I'm going to be giving you my best bets, my tips for the Saturday of the St Leger Festival, St Leger Day, another cracking day's racing. It's also the start of the Irish Champions Festival at Leopardstown and then moving across to Cork on the Sunday where I have a few fancies as well. I'm also going to review the first day's tips, my first day's bets to see how we got on. So let's get stuck into it. So my first bet, my first tip of the first day of the St Leger meeting at Doncaster, I put up Calendar Girl. I thought this was a cracking performance from Calendar Girl. When I was watching it, I thought, she's got far too much to do. It was probably right on the edge of her trip capabilities as well. Obviously, Safi Osborne came out afterwards and said she'll definitely improve, stepping back up to 7 or possibly further. And yeah, the way she ate up the ground, I said she likes to finish her races strongly. She gets weight all round. That really helped her out. But I thought above all else, the toughness for her to get up, she was game as anything. And yeah, I was really impressed with that one. And it turned out to be a good start to the festival for us. Now, the second selection, Danielle, I was really disappointed with this one. Possibly bounced after such a good reappearance. She just looked nothing like the animal that took on WADA at Goodwood. Was disappointed with the cover bet as well, that Ilari El Sario, the Paddy Toomey horse. I thought what Santorini Star done, where it got out in front and dictated things, I really thought that was going to be her doing that. So I feel like Santorini Star sort of nicked on a bit there, but run a blinding race, was very brave. And yeah, I underestimated that horse for sure. Nice performance. I will say that Sir Mark Prescott horse as well ran quite well in second place. Obviously, we've got Pendragon running today. This is recorded before all the days racing today. I've actually had a quick look at the price and he seems to have halved in price. So fingers crossed the market's got that one right and Pendragon can run a big race for us there. I did think the other Sir Mark Prescott horse as well, Moonfall, was really disappointing. Quite a few people put that up as their sort of nap of the day. Fair play to Carl Burke with another 2-year-old winner. What a season he's having with the 2-year-olds. So moving on to my bets for the Saturday, 4-day free of the St Leger Festival at Doncaster. I'm going to start off at Doncaster and then move across to Ireland. And the first fancy of mine comes in the 225, handicap over 5.5 furlongs. Now there's a horse in here called Diablo Rojo. You can currently get 14 to 1 with Bet365. Sorry, you can get 14 to 1 with Corals with 5 places, or you can get 12 to 1 with the 6 places. And I just thought this horse was a really interesting runner in here. The start before last, he ran really well at Ascot, and he finished half a length off Big Mojo, who's obviously turned out to be a Group 1 sprint winner. And I think that's by far the nicest piece of form in the race. He pulled up lame, lost his action, whatever, last time at Royal Ascot, which was disappointing. So the form doesn't look good there, but obviously there's an excuse. You can draw a line through that. And I think based on that Big Mojo piece of form, a mark of 103 is not to be sniffed at here. So, looking back through the previous winners, you have had some highly rated horses winning this with top weight. He's not even top weight in this. He's moved to Kevin Philippart de Foy as well, so I'm hoping that will bring out a bit of improvement. He hasn't raced for 85 days, which is obviously a slight concern. However, he's a lightly raced 3-year-old, progressive type, unexposed at the trip. I thought it was worth 0.5 points each way at 14 to 1 to see how he gets on. Now, I've not had a bet in the Park Stakes, the 3 o'clock race. However, there are 2 runners in here that I've put up for the channel before. Room Service I put up at the Curragh was really disappointing. However, he has run twice at Doncaster and he's won both times, and also cheap pieces go on for the first time, which I think could, sort him out a little bit, because like I say, it was disappointing at the Curragh, but the winner of that race has gone and won a Group 1 since. You can get 8 to 1 about him. I'm just a little bit concerned that the ground's not going to be soft enough for him. He likes giving the ground. I know there was a small bit of giving the ground at the Curragh that day when he did disappoint. But yeah, I'm not 100% convinced that I'm having a bet on this one yet, but I just thought he was really interesting coming back to Doncaster with the cheap pieces on. I'll leave a pinned comment on the video. If I do, I'll probably only just have half a point each way on Room Service. But I just wanted to mention that one. Shadow of Light should win this, don't get me wrong. He's just gone a little bit wayward. So he is probably the most likely winner. I also put up Marvel Man a few weeks ago at 20-1, who come third against More Thunder, who's obviously would probably short price fav for this race. But at 13-2, I think that's probably a little bit skinny. I do expect him to run well. Got Oisin Murphy on board as well, which is obviously a top jockey. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention those two. I've not had a bet yet. I may do. If I do, I'll leave a pinned comment on the video. Moving on to the big one at Doncaster on Saturday, the St Ledger. I'm a little bit disappointed with this one. You've not got the 8 runners. Bet365 are still playing 3 places, but obviously that affects the prices compared to the others. I put up Carmers at Royal Ascot for the channel. He duly obliged. I was impressed with him that day. I then put him up at York, where I think he got a little bit unlucky in running. However, step back up to his preferred trip. I can see him running a really big race. I'd be surprised if he finishes outside the front 3. So I've had a scumbag each way, 1 point each way on Carmers at 9-2 with the 3 places. I will say, obviously, I put up that Pendragon for today's racing. It'd be really interesting if he runs really well here and wins nicely. Then obviously you've got that Tarriance at the bottom of the St Ledger market. You can get 33-1 about it. 22-1 with the 3 places. You know, if he runs really well, that Pendragon, then if you don't like doing the scumbag each way bets that I like doing, then you know you could always have an each way bet on him at a bigger price. Right, moving over to Ireland, we're going to Leopardstown. In the first race that I fancy, the Matron Stakes. I think this is going to be a cracking race. Obviously, regulars of the channel will know, if you watch my July Cup Day vlog, I was on January that day. I was on it anti-post with a considerable bet as well. She was travelling like an absolute dream. I thought it was a done deal, and I think she went soft. And then she's gone and run in France again. I put up a short video that day saying to take January on because I think she's soft, and she got done again by Fallen Angel, who is the head of the market here. They're the 1-2. January has now got cheek pieces fitted, which could straighten her out a little bit if it gets to a battle. However, I like Cercene in here. You can get 5-1 about with 3 places at time of recording, and I think that's a cracking each way bet. She showed how brave she was at Royal Ascot when she landed that Group 1. Obviously, questions about whether that Zaragana is a little bit soft herself. However, Cercene definitely isn't soft. I actually thought she ran well behind Well. I know obviously there was like controversy about the start, etc., but that was her first time stepped up in trip, and it was an absolute bog as well. I know she didn't stay the 1 mile 2, but you know she was there or thereabouts coming up to the 1 mile mark. So I don't think the soft ground is going to be a problem. I think a couple of the you know, you don't know if January's going to enjoy the soft ground either. So I've had 1 point each way on Cercene, and that race is the 425 at Leopardstown. I can't remember if I just said the Matron Stakes or not at the start. So moving on to the Irish Champion Stakes, the big one over in Ireland, which is at 5:30. You get to see Delacroix go against Matt here at the head of the market. I don't know. I feel like there's enough question marks about Delacroix. He gets a little bit funny before races. I don't think he had any excuses last time out at York. And at the best price of 7-4, I'll be looking for more value than that personally. So obviously you've got Matt, who's super consistent, will enjoy the ground as well. Owen Burrows has said how frustrated he is that he's not had the ground that he wants. He will finally be getting that ground, and that second behind Ombudsman at Royal Ascot, on unfavoured ground, you know, that's a pretty solid piece of form, isn't it? However, he would become the first 7-year-old to win this. 3-year-olds have got a really good record. A couple of 5-year-olds have won it in the last 8 years, and that's why I'm siding with White Birch in this one. You can currently get 13-2. I just think this is a really classy horse. He loves the soft ground as well. He should get his ground. And yeah, I can just see him running a really big race. Obviously, last year he got some top class form in the book. He's not got that much to find on the ratings. You know, you can ask question marks whether Delacroix is going to really enjoy the soft ground if it's a stamina test. And at 13-2, I'm going to have a 1 point each way on White Birch. I will mention, obviously, you've got Zaran running in this one. progressive 3-year-old, looks like a really classy horse, and I like that piece of form at Royal Ascot behind Amalok. I'm a really big fan of Amalok. And honestly, I was torn between those two, Zaran and White Birch. I've just given the nod to White Birch because the ground's an unknown for Zaran. I think he probably prefers a mile and a half as opposed to a mile and a quarter. And that just tipped me towards White Birch. I'm just going to mention a couple on the Sunday. I've not had any bets yet, but I will be leaving a pinned comment. I want to see how I get on the Saturday, like last weekend. In the Flying 5 race at the Curragh on the Sunday, I think it's the 3:15. As for us, the short price favourite, obviously coming off a big Group 1 win at York. However, there is rain about, and I think that's really going to affect Asfora's chance of winning this race. I think it's currently good to yield in places or something like that. However, there is thunderstorms on the Saturday and a little bit of rain about today as well. It's really interesting. You've got the two Ammo Racing horses here, Bucanero Fuerte and Arizona Blaze. Obviously, Arizona Blaze was a previous winner at the Curragh for the channel. Bucanero Fuerte won their last time out as well. I like both of their chances. It's really tricky to figure out the puzzle because obviously Arizona Blaze was poor last time out, but that happens to favourites at York. And he has run a lot of races this year as well. He might just be a little bit worn out. However, David Egan's on board, and you think that David Egan would get the choice of the two, and he's picked Arizona Blaze. So I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, Bucanero Fuerte as well won a nice race last time out. Colin Keane's on board, so I'm still going to dive a little bit deeper into that one before I come up with a selection. You can get 10-1 about Arizona Blaze currently, 5-1 about Bucanero Fuerte. Arizona Blaze has run well on softer ground as well, which is a big plus, whereas you can't say the same for Bucanero Fuerte. So it's a tricky one. I'm probably slightly leaning towards Arizona Blaze because I really like the horse. It can do it over both. It doesn't mind the softer ground. David Egan's on board, and it can stay sick. So softer ground, if it is a bit more of a stamina test over 5, will be right up Arizona Blaze's alley. So, and you can get a big price, 10-1 with 4 places. I think that's probably well worth an each way bet. However, like I said, I'll put a pinned comment up. I've not bet it yet, so I'm not going to put it up yet. Moving on to the 425, the Irish St Ledger. Oh, one of my favourite horses in here, Amalok. You can currently get 10-3 about Amalok. It's hard with Amalok because obviously it looked like 1 mile 4 was sort of the top of his capabilities because he didn't finish 100% strongly, but it was a strong gallop of a race. However, they come out afterwards and said he didn't like the rattling fast ground. Obviously, it's going to be softer ground, but it's a bit of an unknown as well because he's never actually raced on soft ground, with the thunderstorms and stuff. I think the play here is probably to see how Zaran runs in the Champion Stakes. If he runs a good race, then I'll probably be having a 1.5 point win on Amalok because I am just a massive fan of the horse. I think he's a battler. He really come into his own last time out at Ascot as well. He was a little bit of a quirky one before then, and he just come out and was an absolute professional at Royal Ascot. So if the pennies dropped, having watched him finish so strongly at Goodwood, I would have said, yeah, 1 mile 6 isn't a problem. But obviously they've come out and said the 1 mile 4, it was because of the ground. He absolutely hated the ground, and he still got up against a very good horse in Zaran as well. So I think that's good enough. I love the horse. Yeah, 10-3. I'm probably gonna have a 1.5 point win. I just want to see how Zaran gets on the Saturday, and also my other selections to see how I'm getting on. Right, so that covers all of my bets and my prospective bets for the Saturday and the Sunday. Cracking weekend of action, Group 1 galore, loads of other group races as well. I can't wait to get stuck in and watch them. Fingers crossed our selections today run really well. We started off the festival nice with a winner yesterday. Fingers crossed we can get another one today. As always, guys, get stuck into the comments. Let me know who you fancy for the St Leger, the Irish St Leger, the Champion Stakes, and any other fancies that you have. Put them down below. Let me know if I've missed out on any good things that you think are guaranteed to go in across the weekend. I wish you all the best of luck with all of your bets over this cracking weekend of racing. And as always, happy punting.